The Game Awards. Here we are with a very deep topic that I'm about to get into when it comes to the Game Awards. I hope this one helps you. You have the list of all the awards that are going to be given out for 2024 in the Game Awards. Plus, on top of that, I'm going to break some things down that you might not know about how the awards work. And the main thing I would want is for you guys to leave your comments on each of the awards. Make your picks in the comments. I'm very interested to see the general public and not a company, because remember, these are just companies. Nothing wrong with the companies. Jeff Keighley isn't the guy voting for these games. I mean, it's a big committee of people that are doing the votes. We're going to get into that topic in a second, but I did want to start off with that. And we got some holiday giveaways. We're going to be doing a full game of your choice. It could be new or even old. $75 in US dollars for the winner for the holidays. So make sure you leave a comment to get a chance to win. All right, we're going to start off with the actual games of the year. Before I get into the awards and talk about it, I'm not here to defend these guys. I don't agree with some of it, but I do understand why it exists the way it is, and we'll get into how this Game Award works. And then for the rest of this video, I'm gonna be letting you see every single category play out, and you can choose in the comments what you agree or disagree with, what do you think is the winners as well as we go forward. So games of the year, we're going to start off with Astro Bot. Huge game, amazing, just incredible from what I've seen. And then of course the one and the only, this one right here to me is very interesting. It's an indie game made by one developer, and it's become very popular, and I think it's a gambling that's made it popular, but we'll get into that topic in a minute. And interesting stuff. And then Black Myth Wukong, to me, well deserved. It's Astrobot and this right here are easily top 5 games of this year, and yeah, I love it. Elden Ring Shadow of the Archer, you know I spent hundreds of hours on this game. That's a deep topic that we'll get into. And then Final Fantasy Rebirth, it's supposed to be a remake, but it's in here, and interesting. And then Metaphor, as we know, is very popular, and those are the categories for the games of the year. So it is what it is. We're gonna get into all of these. I'm gonna let them play out and just discuss something before we get into the awards and some of my thoughts about it, my personal thoughts. The truth is that these Game Awards, there's so many of them all year long, whether it's IGN, whether it's DICE, all of these companies have their own versions of this show. The Game Awards is just one of hundreds. Let's just say this is the biggest one when it comes to publicity. And to be honest with you guys, what you got to take into account, regardless if you agree or disagree and think it's terrible with the selections, is that they have great reveals all year long. So basically, you're going to be able to get the amazing reveals of new games, gameplay, DLCs, all that stuff. So it's a fun event for that. That's why I watch. As far as agreeing with their picks for nominees and for winners, that's a conversation that we can get into, because the systems that they have is different from other companies. But the general way a lot of these companies do it is that they will send out to the mainstream media, the critics, the so-called journalists of the industry, to select the games. Then they come back and they have to basically narrow it down to the nominees that we see, which is what we got announced now. And then from there, the voting, you know, some companies do that again and kind of like, oh, you guys picked this game to be nominated. Now you have to pick who's going to be the winner out of the ones that you guys all selected. And then they have to pick all that, which is a second round of checking in with them. And that's usually more or less how most companies go. Adding the viewers' votes is another part of these companies, these award companies, the way they set that up. And so all of that mixed up is why you get such crazy debates and conversations about, do you agree or disagree with this nonsense or whatever. The biggest topic of the year so far, even for myself, I usually try to stay away from these drama shows, but that the nominees can be for game of the year, It can be a DLC, it can be an expansion, it can be a new season. Remember, games put out new seasons, and they basically said that they could be nominated for Game of the Year. And honestly, I personally think that's outrageous, because the game could drop just like No Man's Sky, which was very bad when it launched, and then now it's amazing, it's incredible. And so one of those expansions wins Games of the Year over God of War or The Last of Us or something like that. That would be ridiculous. And the fact that it's taking a slot is what's crazy. So this year specifically, you have an amazing, to me, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. If it was a standalone game, it could be nominated. I don't think it would win this year, but I do think it should be in there if it was a standalone. But it is from a 2-year-old game and it's an expansion. You can't play it without owning a previous 2-year-old game. So that is where the discord is from some people. Of course, the Elden Ring community, like myself, love the game and not gonna crap on it. We enjoy the game very much, but at the same time, if you're realistic and you're like me, you play the game, you're obsessed with the game, you hundreds and hundreds of hours, you want to defend how good it is. You don't want it to get discredited, but at the same time, the policy, if they can change it and say, hey, we're gonna make a DLC expansion award, which is the ongoing awards. For some reason, they didn't get an ongoing award nomination. And that is odd. It should have had an ongoing award. And that's what those should be, because the DLCs are exactly that. So it's a weird conversation, because I'm sure there's developers who say, no, wait, well, it's a new project. We just keeping it within the game so people won't have to pay for their previous game. And it's like, I get it. I love the new content. Make content. So having more content is a W for me. But those are the conversations that are sparking on the internet and that are very heavy. I mean, like if you go anywhere, you're gonna bump into it, even if you don't want to have the conversation. Because to me, it's like, hey, it's pretty easy. Just make its own category and don't put it into the Game of the Year's topic, so that way we can do what we have to do and go from there. And that's what I believe is the best method going forward. I do have a conversation about remakes, which we'll get into a little bit too. Like when people make these remakes every year, there's at least 3 or 4 good remakes. And so now putting them as Game of the Year, you're kind of taking away from some of the new games. It's like The Last of Us has had like 6 different iterations. When you take GTA 5 also has had like 5 different versions or more. So it's like, oh, those deserve to get Game of the Year every time they dropped. So it's a little bit of a weird conversation. And I do love remakes, and I think that we're going to get better ones. I mean, next year, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is getting a remake, and I would put it Game of the Year because it is the greatest game you'll ever play, in my opinion. But at the same time, I would rather it be in its own category. Let it have a remake of the year. And that's just my opinion. But as you watch all these awards, tell me what your thoughts are on this topic as well. I don't want my comments to become a drama show about it, but I do feel like it's important. And I'm going to take a quick pause from this, showing you guys that, to kind of show the Twitter breakdown here and just discuss that. Like, as you can see, you got 2 games, a remake and a DLC for Games of the Year for this year, which is pretty wild. And Stellar Blade didn't make it at all in the Game of the Year. You talk about one of the best games, which I just think is crazy. These are the type of things these are the things I'm pointing out that I'm like, oh no. I do love the fact that they have Prince of Persia as a best action adventure, because to me that's a Game of the Year candidate if you want to put it in there. Definitely Silent Hill 2, another one that was amazing. Most anticipated, it's kind of crazy because again, it's player's choice, right? But there's a lot of great games that I'm sure y'all anticipated that aren't on here. What is your choice and what is your opinions? Those are the type of topics that make me think and wonder, who's selecting this. I know who's selecting it. It's the media, right? But those are the type of conversations that I love to have and discussions going forward. with you guys. So there's no wrong answers. Again, you feel what you feel, you say what you want. Another interesting topic that they've been in the community, and this is where, this game, Hellblade, people were saying shouldn't even have been nominated, really didn't do anything great. And I feel that's disrespectful. The game really is decent. It's not necessarily like a game of the year candidate, but having a narration, I don't think that's a problem. I think there are way better narrated games, but hey, the people selecting it chose that. This is not your list. Make your list in the comments. It's kind of what I feel. And I'm not defending those people who selected it. I'm not one of them. Remember, don't target me. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's like the political selections of like, oh, let's just include everybody somewhere as nominees to be nice. And it's like, are we being nice or are we trying to be real? So those are the type of conversations and discussions I want to kind of throw out there and see what everybody's feeling or what they're thinking and where their thoughts are, because this has been a topic, consistently. So, for example, Stellar Blade not being in the game of the year conversations, a bunch of other games. And so it's interesting. It's interesting. And for me, I'm just excited about the reveals that will happen by the end of the year for the show. And then hopefully you guys get something you want to see for next year as well. It's become one of those attractions like E3 style. So locked in for that. Again, just a reminder, the way the systems are set up, this is your journalist. So when you're commenting on YouTube, IGNs and all those places, those are the guys voting. So you want to get on their neck. It's not Jeff Keighley. He's just a host. He's not running all this and deciding all these picks and all that stuff. So just remember that as you get on social media. But again, just another reminder before we close out here, I do have giveaways that I'm going to be doing a holiday giveaway, basically a full game. We originally were going to give away Assassin's Creed, which is supposed to be out now. It got delayed. And I thought Metal Gear was going to be announced to be releasing this year. It did not also. So giving away those two games, instead, we're going to do a holiday giveaway in the comments, just selecting someone random. So feel free to just leave what game you want if you win as well, on top of voting and all that good stuff. Much appreciated. I hope this helps you guys understand the systems. Okay, I'm not justifying the way they do this. Personally, I want people to vote only if they played the game. You can't vote if you didn't play the game, because people will select the game out of popularity rather than out of your experience. And I think that would be cooler if we can track people. This is my opinion to end this here. Track people on what they actually played. And if they vote for something else, like, no, you can't vote for something you didn't play. Cancel. And that changes the way this voting systems work, because now we tracked you. You completed whatever Final Fantasy, so you voted for it, fine. That's how I feel about it. If you don't have the time to play it, you shouldn't be voting. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. So vote for what you play for. Only right. It's my opinion. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Just a quick breakdown on the awards and kind of giving you some perspective, hopefully, going forward. We're going to keep doing our thing, man. We love you guys. See you on the next one.